Are you ready to uplevel your sales game? Well, here is a gift for you. It is the Mastering the Sales Conversation mini training. This training gives you my proven step-by-step approach to sales so that you can go from that overwhelmed and intimidated approach that you have to sales to feeling confident and leading a conversation so that you easily guide somebody to hiring you. You can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/mastering. This is my gift to you. Go grab it now.
Do sales conversations make you feel awkward or pushy? It's time to ditch the outdated salesy strategies. Your guide, Nikki will show you how to combine kindness with selling skills to meet your prospects where they are, and in the process, how to uplevel your influence and income. Learn how to earn business easily and effortlessly. Here's Nikki.
Welcome, and thank you for listening to the Sales Maven Show. I'm your host, Nikki Rausch. I am your own personal sales maven here to offer you strategies and techniques to master your sales conversations. Today's episode, we're going to be talking about a customer-centric retention strategy. Now, why is this important? Because in order to scale your business, if that's something you want to do, grow your business, one of the places that you can think about and focus on is how do you increase lifetime value of your existing client base? And the reason that's important is because in this day, kind of where we are currently in the world as it is harder and harder to reach and attract new prospects, right? There's no golden pill that you can swallow and be like, I have so many prospects showing up. Like, this is so easy. It's constant evolution, but there are certain strategies that once you get somebody in the door, like how do you make it easy for them to stay? So that's why I wanted to share this with you today and give you just some strategy, some technique around one thing in particular that you can do that makes it easier for people to stick around, makes it easier for them to want to buy the next thing you offer. And then the next thing you offer, and then the thing after that, and continue to work with you when it's appropriate, right? Sometimes people will kind of age out or they'll grow out of whatever it is that you offer, and that's fine too. That should happen in business. But if there's still opportunity there, then there's still ways to increase lifetime value. And that means by having them continue on with you for a longer period of time. So the upside of applying what I'm going to talk about today is that it's a way to increase your influence and your credibility in conversations with your existing client base. The downside of just completely ignoring what I'm going to share with you and not doing it is you can actually pretty quickly alienate people and have them feel like they aren't a good fit to work with you, because there's something that's off. There's something about them that's wrong. And when people feel wrong, they feel shame generally. And when people feel shame, they want to like go away and not continue to feel that, right? Like get out of this situation so I no longer have to feel shamed. So we want to make sure that how we're coming across in conversation and how we are interacting with our clients still allows for us to stand in our place of credibility, still allows for us to make recommendations and share strategies and techniques, but not in a way that alienates people. So this podcast episode came from a conversation. I was in a strategy session with a client, and we were talking about ways for this particular client to increase lifetime value, to continue to make it easy for people to want to work with her. And she had started sharing some contrasting examples. And when she's a client, what it's like. So she's in 2 programs right now. One of them is mine, and one of them is with somebody else. I don't actually know who the other person is, but she's in this other program. And she was talking about that there's a pretty clear difference in the communication. And so she was asking about like strategy behind this and kind of like what is the better way for her for her own business, right? And so when I was digging in and I'm asking questions about like, okay, so let's talk this through and what's going on here, she was sharing that this person is got their own thought leadership on whatever it is that the topic that she's learning from them. But when this person communicates, it's all or nothing. It's her way. So the female coach, it's her way or you're wrong. There's no flexibility at all. Everything has to be done exactly how she's taught it. Otherwise, like the person is wrong, right? The client's wrong. The client needs to change. And she was saying that that leaves her, my client was sharing how that leaves her feeling like she's not sure where she fits in anymore because there are things that she doesn't want to implement into her business, things that don't feel like a good fit for her client base. And so she's thinking of leaving the program. And so we were kind of digging into this a little bit. And again, this is what prompted me to want to share this episode with you about how are you approaching conversations? And, you know, some of this comes from learning. Like I didn't just show up being flexible in life. As a matter of fact, growing up, I found that it was easier to function where everything was black or white. Yes, no, uh, true, false. There wasn't a lot of shades of gray because every time there were shades of gray, things were falling apart, right? In just kind of my childhood and into my young adult years. So I was pretty rigid. It was like it's either yes or no, it's either black or it's white. And there was just no shades of gray in the way I communicated with people, which often left people feeling alienated from me. It often pushed people away. And I remember in my 20s, I was managing a sales team. I was the national sales manager for the tech company I was working with. And I had a team of 23 salespeople. And one of my sales rep had a very different personality style than I do or did at the time, had a very, very different style than me. And wanted me as her manager to change the way I communicated with her. And again, I had this very black and white opinion. I was like, well, I'm the boss, so you change. It's my way or the highway. And I remember the head of our HR department calling me in to sit down to have a conversation with me because the rep had gone to complain to the HR department. Frankly, as she should have, knowing what I know now. And so the HR director, I remember saying to me, you know, the thing about you, Nikki, is that you're very direct. And I remember like sitting up straight in the chair when she said it and feeling really proud. And I was like, thank you. I am very direct because I saw that as a really good thing. Now, she didn't actually mean it as a compliment, even though I wanted to take it as one. What she was saying to me is that being very direct isn't always the best way to be, and that I needed to learn how to add flexibility to my behavior, which, you know, fast forward many years. And after studying NLP, I now realize that having flexibility and allowing for people to have a different style than me and learning about all the times when I was forced to try to adapt to somebody else's style and how hard it was, I now look back and go, gosh, I could have done so much better. I could have been a much better manager at the time. I just didn't know what I didn't know. And when I really learned about different styles and communication and the way people process information in their brains, the language that people choose, you know, habits and patterns. And when I was really studying NLP, it was like, I remember having this huge light bulb moment. My NLP chair was sharing with us about how, you know, I've been out of school for a long time, but she was talking about in school in, you know, K through 12, when she was going through school, and certainly when I was going through school too, you know, school was taught for high visual learners. Everything about the way the classroom was set up, it was set up and lessons were taught for visual learners. That was the primary modality that school taught to. And so visual learners were considered the good students. And anybody who wasn't a visual learner needed to change, right? Like this person doesn't pay attention in class. This person doesn't look you in the eye when you're talking to them. They need some social skills. This person, doesn't really understand a concept when it's taught to them visually. Like all of these things, which now knowing what I know, like we're not all visual learners. I'm certainly not. I'm a high kinesthetic learner. I have to like write things down and take notes, and I have to like be interactive in order for me to learn a concept. So growing up, I thought I wasn't a good student. And now knowing what I know, I realize that they weren't good teachers. They didn't teach to everybody's style. They taught to their style, right? And the teachers at the time were attracted to a visual style because that was their style. And as a coach now, and as, a business consultant, or depending on what it is that you do in your business, the way that you do things is based on what your learning style is. The way that you teach oftentimes is based on your learning style. But that may not translate into success for your clients. If you're being so rigid, you may need to add some flexibility to your behavior, even in the way that you speak about your expertise and your thought leadership. If there's no room for somebody who has a different thought process or wants to do something a little bit differently, or has a client base that's a little different than the client base that you have, like all of these things will tend to alienate people, and they'll want to go away because it's either your way or no way. And that will diminish you earning repeat business from somebody because they'll think they're wrong, or they'll think they just don't get it. There's something wrong with them, or they'll think there's something wrong with you because your style is so different than theirs. Do you know how to recognize and act on a buying signal? I have a gift that is going to teach you these 17 buying signals so that you're ready when you get them to take action and move somebody to the next part of the sales conversation. You can get this right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it now. So by learning how to add some flexibility to your style, by learning to allow flexibility for your customer's style, that is going to attract people to you longer term. That is going to give people permission to stay. It doesn't have to just be your way. Now, that's not in any way to say that you shouldn't still stand in your place of expertise, that you still shouldn't make recommendations, that you still shouldn't put your thought leadership out there. But when you're working with your client, be willing to have some flexibility. My all-time favorite quote, I put this on the back of my workbooks. I say it a lot. And a lot of times when I say it, I get a chuckle, especially if people are hearing me say it for the first time. They kind of chuckle at it and they think it's funny. But I actually put this quote a lot of times. One of the main reasons it goes on my workbooks, it's something I talk about a lot. It's something I think about a lot. I say it out loud all the time, it's to remind me that I need to have flexibility in my behavior. So the quote is, "Blessed are the flexible, for they shall not be bent out of shape," right? If you're rigid, you break. And sometimes if you're rigid, other people around you feel broken. And that's not a good thing for client retention. It's not a good thing for increasing lifetime value of a client. Why would they stick around if they just feel wronged all the time, or that they don't know how they fit, or they just don't get it? There's something wrong with them. So they shouldn't actually continue to invest with you because they're just not getting it. So how can you add some flexibility in the way that you are showing up in your conversations? Here's a couple ways that I now do this. And by the way, I wanted to mention here this idea of it's all or nothing, right? The being really rigid is like everything's black or white, or it's yes or it's no, or it's true or it's false. And there's no shades of gray. This is from an NLP term. This is known as a generalization, and the kind of like drilled down from there is it's what's known as a universal qualifier. I actually teach about universal qualifiers and how to overcome universal qualifiers when your clients are talking in them and thinking in them in a masterclass called Sales Scripts for Increasing Influence. So that's really deep into NLP language. I love that masterclass because I love language. Learning how to get away from these universal qualifiers, the like always, the nevers, it kind of goes back to the like, don't should on me and I won't should on you. You might have heard me say that before. My friend Vicky used to say that to me, Nikki, don't should on me and I won't should on you. Like you should do this and you should do that. You want to be really careful about that because it can make people feel like, well, there's no flexibility here. And if there's no flexibility, what can I possibly do right? And if I can't do it right, why will I continue to do it? Like, this is why we tend to give up a lot of times on things. So think about the way you're communicating and language. So what I want to recommend, or give you some language suggestions so that you can still stand in your place of credibility, that you can still speak to your, thought leadership and your expertise. But when you're saying to a client, what I recommend is ... insert. And the reason for that is, and then you could say this, it's a question. What part of this resonates with you and will work in your situation? Now you've just given them permission to pick and choose the pieces that will work for them. Now, the way that I framed that language, it implies there's something in there for them. And maybe they'll go like, it'll all work. Great. And maybe somebody else, another client might look at it and go, or hear it and go, well, I think this one piece is worth testing or trying. Now, every once in a while, you'll get somebody who'll be like, that will not work for me at all. Okay, great. What would work better? Right? Like you can ask them the question. Often when I'm talking about sales, and especially when I'm talking to people who consider themselves really good salespeople, whether that's a fact or not. Sometimes it is, and sometimes it's not. Is I always say, hey, if what you're doing is working, keep doing it. Even if I suggest a different way, if what you're doing is working, keep doing it. But if what you're doing isn't getting you the results that you want, be willing to try something new. Find something in the work that we're going to do together that you're going to implement so you can test it and see how it works. And that was one of the pieces of feedback from my client during this conversation. She said, I think about all the time how when I'm coaching her on something or giving her, advice, I always say, now go test it. And then if it doesn't work, we'll come up with something else. And she's like, I just feel like it gives her permission to like try it. And if it doesn't work, you don't give up, you just try something else. So are you doing that with your clients in the way that you're communicating? Because if you're standing in this place of like, it's my way or the highway, people will pick the highway because there's other choices, right? You can just mosey on down the road and find somebody else that offers whatever it is that you're selling, they can buy from someone else. So adding some flexibility to your language, adding some flexibility and giving people permission to pick and choose the things that will work best for them sometimes is enough. Even if there's a part of you right now that feels like you want to push back on what I've just said and be like, but if they would just do it my way, Nikki, if they would just implement every step I've given, they'll achieve a different level of success. They'll get so much more out of their investment. I'm not disagreeing with you. As a matter of fact, you're right. And sometimes they can only take in so much, right? You already know all that you know. You already know your stuff works. Be willing to let other people find things their way and on their own time. And you'll find the relationship gets stronger because you're not so rigid. And you don't want to leave people feeling broken from working with you. You want them to feel inspired. You want them to feel like, I did this. This was my success. right? Like I never want anybody to be like, oh, well, I'm good at sales because Nikki's good at sales. I want them to go, I'm good at sales because I invested in myself and I learned these skills and I tried them out and I found what worked for me. And I hope that's what you want for your clients too. All right. Thanks for being here. Thank you for listening. As always, I'm super grateful and I love to hear the feedback from you as the listener. What was your big takeaway from here? What is something that you can implement into your business? If you'd reach out and share with me, I'd be so delighted to hear. I am wishing you continued success in every single thing you're doing in your business. Take care and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks for listening to Sales Maven. Visit us online at yoursalesmaven.com/maven for more resources to boost your confidence and skills.
Are you ready to increase your confidence in your sales conversations? I have a gift for you that is going to show you exactly how to do that. It is my Closing the Sale ebook. It's all about leveling up your confidence, giving you language to use, how to seamlessly move somebody through the sales process. And you can get it right now by going to yoursalesmaven.com/Maven. Go grab it.